I would like to point out that my perspective will be from outside of the Beltway because I live in North Carolina. But I would like to make a very strong disclaimer. I am not part of the Tea Party. I would like to start with the premise that ever since Ukraine's independence, the Ukrainian diaspora in the United States and the whole world lost its compass. Because for many, many years, our mission was to try to keep alive the idea of independent Ukraine, Ukrainian culture and history. And when Ukraine became independent, that mission became obsolete. So what did the diaspora do? We threw our efforts and our resources on Ukraine. We invaded Ukraine and started teaching them how to do things until they finally got fed up with us and told us to leave us alone. And they were right. But still, until this very day, 20 years later, the Ukrainian diaspora is still looking for its compass. Because in the process of trying to work and help Ukraine become a nation the way it's supposed to be, according to our perspective, we forgot about ourselves. And our communities got weakened. And we still are not where we're supposed to be, and we still have not redefined our mission as a diaspora of an independent country. As part of this process, about 2 years ago, we decided to organize a Center for Demographic and Socioeconomic Research of Ukrainians in the United States at the Shevchenko Scientific Society in New York. Because as anybody knows, if you want to do effective planning and decision making, you need information. This is a very non-Ukrainian concept because any Ukrainian leader knows he doesn't need facts. But unfortunately, modern society doesn't work that way. So I would like to tell you a little bit about the Research Center and show some key results, and then finish my presentation with a few personal remarks. This gives you a kind of a history of Ukrainians in the United States. First of all, I would like to define what do we mean by Ukrainian in the United States. The U.S. Census since 1980 has the following question: what is your ancestry? And you had the right to provide one or two answers because there are many persons of mixed marriages. So some people have at least two ancestries. So we define as Ukrainian anybody that declared Ukrainian as a first or second ancestry. According to that definition, in 1990 we had 736,000 persons that said that they were Ukrainian ancestry. We see that in the 10 years later we have a big jump to 897, and that is a result of what we have called the fourth wave, and we will talk about that later. And 9 years later we have 977,000, close to 1 million people. So in the last 20 years, we have witnessed a significant growth of the Ukrainian community in the United States. And this is reflected in the proportion of U.S.-born and immigrants. The U.S.-born numbers more or less were stable, but the number of immigrants grew from 103,000 in 1990 to 308,000 in 2009. And as we can see of the immigration before 1946, there are only about 2,000 survivors left. Between 1946 and 91, we have close to 100,000 left. But the ones that arrived since 1992 In the year 2000, we had 129,000, and the year 2009, we had 209,000. And out of those, the great majority were born in Ukraine. We had immigrants from other countries, but the great majority, 85%, were born in Ukraine. Now, what is the impact of that fourth wave? This is the age structure of Ukrainians in the United States at the year 2006. And in yellow, we have the contribution of the so-called fourth wave. So as you can see, in the starting age group 5 to about 50 or so, we have a significant addition of people that came from Ukraine that increased the number of people in the adolescent and middle age, because that was the immigration age structure. This is mainly a labor force, economic migration. But what is extremely important is the contribution to the number of Ukrainian speakers in the Ukrainian community. Because we also have the question, what is the language you speak at home besides English? And so you can answer English, Ukrainian, or any other language. Now, please note that if we take only the US born in the year 2008, we had about 1.7% said they speak Russian at home, and 4.2 that speak Ukrainian. Now, if we add to those US born the immigrants that arrived before 1992, at the bottom of the screen, we see that about 6% speak Russian and 7.9 speak Ukrainian. So the first surprising thing is that even before the fourth wave, we had a significant number of people that speak Russian at home, not Ukrainian, although they declared that they were Ukrainian ancestry. That's the baseline. But one of the big effects of the fourth wave is that the great majority of these migrants are Russian speakers. So if you look at the 1992 to 2008 column, we see that of all these immigrants, 49% said that they speak Russian, and 36.2 said that they speak Ukrainian. And if you take the whole group of almost 1 million Ukrainians in the United States, 14.1% speak Russian and 13% speak Ukrainian. So given the number of the fourth wave and the high proportion of Russian speakers, the impact of the whole group is that we have more Russian speakers than Ukrainian speakers in the United States today in the Ukrainian community. This is probably a unique case in the history of ethnics in the United States, where an ethnic group, more people speak not their mother tongue, but a more foreign tongue, if depending on your perspective. And this is one of the legacies of the fourth wave to the Ukrainian diaspora in the United States. This is the bad news, but we also have very good news, because the number of Ukrainian speakers doubled in the last 15 or so years in the United States, because until 1990 or so, the language assimilation of the Ukrainians in the United States was reaching very high levels, and if the trend continued, the Ukrainian diaspora in the United States would be almost completely linguistically assimilated. This new wave was like a huge vitamin shock to to the Ukrainian community in the United States in terms of Ukrainian speakers, and it stopped the assimilation process and has also increased the proportion of Ukrainian speakers. And this is a very telling graph, because in each age group, the green part are the people that are U.S. born or that migrants before 1992 that speak Ukrainian. While the yellow part are the Ukrainian speakers that came after 1991 to the United States. So in some age groups, we have close to about 70% of all Ukrainian speakers are fourth wave people. So in that sense, the fourth wave had a tremendous rejuvenation effect in terms of contributing an enormous amount of Ukrainian speakers that had very positive reverberations in the whole community. Schools, teachers, churches, organizations of all kinds. So this kind of compares Ukrainian diaspora in the United States without the fourth wave and with the fourth wave. If there were no fourth wave in the year 2006, we would have about 780,000 people. With the fourth wave, we will have 1,936,000. A contribution of about 17% more. In terms of Ukrainian speakers, without the fourth wave, we would have about 51,000 or 7.1% of the total. With the fourth wave, we would have more than twice as many, and 13.4% of the total. On the other hand, Russian speakers, without the fourth wave, we would have 38,000. With the fourth wave, we have 134,000. Also, it contributed to the age structure, in other words, because the immigrants are much younger than the locals, so that the percent under 18 years would have been 15% without the fourth wave and 31.3% with the fourth wave. So it also contributed to the much larger amount of younger people in the whole group. So this is the kind of fourth wave, one of the impacts, numbers and age structure and language.